Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the F Club Radio Show with Ramona Prater on AM 1200 WCHB, Taylor, Detroit. This is the Flirt Factor, Matters of the Heart.
Well, we usually tackle relationships in the Flirt Factor on the F Club Radio Show. It's the top of our show most days. And today we're going to talk about relationships, but with a twist. Today is October the 4th, and we are 4 days into Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Of course, there are other many worthy causes being observed this month, but today we're going to focus on one that affects millions of women in our country, with incidents happening once every 4 to 5 seconds. Domestic violence. We're going to talk about your relationships, ladies and gentlemen. How healthy are they? Especially if you are being abused. Maybe your abuse isn't a slap or a fist across the face. Maybe it is verbal. Either way, the results or the effects from abuse can be devastating and go and take years and years of our lives to heal from. So today we're going to focus on domestic violence as we observe Domestic Violence Awareness Month here on the F Club Radio Show. We have special guests in the studio who are going to share their stories and encourage you if you happen to be in a domestic violence relationships. Maybe you don't even know that you are in one. Well, today we're going to cover it all and tell you about some great events going on to get you empowered. All right, so keep it right here.
The Family Factor, Keys to a Happy Home.
Welcome back to the second hour of the F Club Radio Show. We're continuing our discussion on domestic violence and domestic violence awareness. Special guest in the studio in our last hour, Brooke Blander, still with us again. She's going to treat us with some more of her fantastic poetry. Oh my God, it's so sturgeon. And I love listening to Brooke as she does her spoken word because, you know, you forget you're listening to somebody. You're like on a ride. You have to wake yourself back up when it's over. It's just amazing. So Brooke is still here with us. She's going to share with us some of her pieces. Also to the studio this hour, we have a special guest, Yolanda B.G. Harris. Yolanda. Yes. Yolanda, I'm sorry. And she's going to be sharing her experience with us, as well as lots of events that are going on this month to help you be encouraged, help you find a way out, and help you find value and worth in yourself again. Since sometimes we just get in that place where we just forget who we are, how valuable we are. We're going to try to remember and keep reminding ourselves who we are as women and why we're valuable. So, yes, domestic violence awareness happens every year, and certainly I've been a part of those conversations. People cry and whine the whole time. Not that it's not a sad situation, but I really want us to focus on the positive, the future, life after wherever you've been. All right? Welcome to the studio, BG, or Yolanda. I'm sorry.
Thank you, BG.
See, once you give me one name, I keep going back. Yolanda, BG, is in the studio, and Brooke, thank you for joining us again. Brooke, are you happy to be here?
I am very happy to be here.
Amen.
Amen.
Again, I want to have a little laughter today. I understand this is a very serious topic, but I have hosted so many shows where by the time I left, I wanted to just jump into a hole and die. Because it was just so sad and black and, you know, just like there's no life after this. And certainly a lot of these situations end in death. And I get it. So I'm not trying to make light of it. But I really want us to focus on how we can change our lives for the better, especially if you're alive today, you can be alive tomorrow in this situation with the proper help and technique. So I want you guys to, share with our listeners how to do it. How is it possible? Now, were you a victim of domestic violence, Yolanda?
Yes. Victim. I am a survivor.
Okay.
And for me, it started in my late teens. And back then, you just don't have a name for it. We didn't have a name for it. But now it actually continued on into a cycle. And I made the decision that the cycle is going to end. And that was the purpose of me writing and co-producing the documentary. And it's my journey towards healing.
Awesome.
And that's the purpose of it. It's actually my healing journey.
I love it. I love it. So we're going to talk about that in relation to Brooke's story as well. You guys have a lot in common. We're going to continue this discussion as the F Club Radio Show continues on AM 1200 WCHB.
The Family Factor, Keys to a Happy Home.
Welcome back to the Family Factor inside the F Club Radio Show. We're focusing today on domestic violence, as this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month in our country. In the metro area, lots of events going on to encourage, uplift, and empower you if you are in this situation, at ground zero, if you are the victim, or if you are a family member of somebody who is going through this situation, a neighbor, a friend, somebody who goes to church with somebody who is in a situation that they may not know that they're actually in. Because, yeah, I know that sounds crazy, but some people are in a domestic violence situation, don't even know that they are. So we're going to, keep giving these tips to figure out, I'll give you identifiers. That's A. But we also have two guests in the studio who are survivors of some form of a domestic violence or another. Brooke Blander, we talked to her last hour. She's going to stay with us and give us some more of her beautiful spoken word. But she survived as a child. She was a child of domestic violence. Is that correct?
I'm the survivor.
The survivor child. I want to get the terminology correct. Meaning that she witnessed domestic violence as a child in her family and among friends and neighbors. And also our guest in the studio, Yolanda B.G. Harris, is in the studio. She is a documentary filmmaker and a domestic violence survivor. How many years?
A combination of 32 years, because it was a cycle. It was an ongoing cycle for me.
Same person?
No.
Different people?
No, that's why I said it was a cycle.
We need to talk about that, because that's not uncommon, is it?
No, it's not uncommon at all.
Because I asked Brooke last hour, did you pick somebody in your relationships that were, domineering, controlling, because that's how your stepfather was to your mother? And she says, absolutely not. She went totally the other direction.
Exactly.
But sometimes for other people, it happens that you pick the same person over and over again. Tell us your story.
Yeah, pretty much the same way. Something that when you say it's a generational thing or something that I may have observed, and we are pretty much, based on my experience and other survivors that I've talked with, it is something that we may have seen in the home that we have grown up with, and something that we think is normal, but it is not normal. So it's just an ongoing cycle, and the most important thing is not being educated. I did not know.
Yeah.
No one, I really didn't know what resources to seek out, where to go. To say that this person, what is happening to you, this is abuse. So I think it's just a matter of not knowing. Society itself, I think what we see on television, how it's perpetuated the violence that continues on.
And we have to stop there, because you said that, I want to make sure I spend a lot of airtime today identifying what domestic violence is. I have a really short list, but I know you brought some as well. BJ, I want you to share that with us as well. Just some facts. But before you do that, your inner thoughts and feelings. Are you afraid of your partner much of the time? Are you avoiding certain topics out of fear of angering your partner? Do you feel that you can't do anything right for your partner? Do you believe you deserve to be hurt or mistreated? Do you wonder if you're the one that's crazy? Do you feel emotionally numb or helpless? Now, does your partner humiliate or yell at you, criticize you or put you down? Does he or she treat you so badly that you're embarrassed for your friends or family to see? Do you ignore or put down, or do they ignore and put down your opinions and accomplishments? Do they blame you for their own abusive behavior? This is a bad one. Or see you as property or a sex object rather than a person? If all or one or two of these are true, you're probably in a bad situation. You need to seek help immediately. You shared some facts with me, BG, when you first came in. An estimated 1.3 million women are victims of physical assault by an intimate partner each year. And 1 in every 4 women will experience domestic violence in their lifetime. 85% of domestic violence victims are women. So there's 15% who are men, but 85% of these victims are women. And domestic violence is the leading cause of injury and death to women. I didn't know that.
Yes.
Leading cause.
Yes, it is.
I thought it was heart disease.
No.
I really did. So domestic violence kills more people than heart disease, breast cancer, ... ellipsis.
Exactly.
I didn't know that. Now, that's startling to me. Which is, and something you said, BG, while you were speaking, just brought chills to my back. People don't know. And I'm finding the more I do radio and the more I've been a producer for many years and a hairdresser, a lot of things people just tell you. That's why I don't use the term common sense anymore, because sense is what you have in common with somebody else. It's not common. But the things people tell me on just open their mouth and start talking, like, don't say that. But if they don't know that it's normal in their life, we are products of our environment.
Absolutely.
So if you see kids that get up and smack another kid in the head with a toy, he's probably seen that. He doesn't know that this. I'm angry, so I get to throw stuff. Naomi Campbell. Well, we'll go on her another day. Throw cell phones at people, because she's going to snatch the wrong chick from Linwood one day. It's going to be on. But that's that aside.
And one of the things I want to also point out, Ramona, is that the numbers that you're listing here, the facts, these are reported. Can you imagine the numbers that are not reported? Because it is such a shameful secret.
Why is it a shameful?
Because we're embarrassed to. That's it. You say, let's talk about it. We're embarrassed to talk about it. Because
you can't be a smart, chic, savvy woman and you can smack that home.
And one thing about domestic violence and abuse, it does not discriminate.
Yeah.
You're going to find that in my case, in my background, as my profession as a trainer and facilitator, I would go to work one day and I'm facilitating a class, but then I'd go home being abused. So it was living that double life, living 2 lives. And I do talk a lot about this in the documentary. In terms of my experience, because what it does, it gives everyone, the audience, an up-close and personal look at what it's like to heal as a survivor.
Now, as a trainer, facilitator, did you know all the ins and outs? You knew how to hide everything because of course.
Yes, absolutely. I was very good at hiding it.
Yeah.
Very good at hiding, even to the point that my family didn't know.
So if you're an AA counselor and you're an alcoholic, you can really get away with stuff a lot more.
Yes.
That just makes sense to me. You become perfect at the craft, which makes the cycle for you to get out that much worse than anybody else.
Right.
My God. Well, I'm glad that you finally broke the cycle. We're going to talk about that in just a second as well. Also take some more calls. I see you on the call, Bill Ashanda. I'm coming to you in just a moment. But again, your story in brief, like how many, you met this guy, you fell in love with him, you're 18, you're young. And, I'm not really good at, dragging people down the hair by memory lane either, but I want you to just, give us a brief synopsis of how you fell into it. And then you realize what happened when you realized you needed to get out. That and more when the F Club Radio Show continues on AM 1200 WCHB.